Next on News Channel 8 at 6, a mandatory evacuation order for some Bay Area residents today, forcing a few to have to leave by boat. Plus, a record-tying quake rocks Oklahoma and is felt through 6 neighboring states. Also tonight, college football season is underway. We're going to preview tonight's USF season opener. News Channel 8 at 6 is coming your way next.
We have had a couple injuries.
Hermine has moved away from Florida.
It's terrible. You know, it's awful.
But the effects linger on.
We still have a lot of work to do following the storm. We'll continue to spend the coming days assessing damage.
As people in Pasco try their best to dry out.
But this is ridiculous.
It's frustrating.
Tonight, Hermine's wind still causing problems on North Carolina's Outer Banks. And it's not over yet. Forecasters say the storm could strengthen back into a hurricane by Labor Day as it moves north. And good evening, everyone. I'm Rod Carter. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to begin tonight with breaking news. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is desperately searching for a teenager right now who was swept away while fishing in the Peace River. We're told 35-year-old Barbara Ingalls and her children were fishing when her 11-year-old daughter fell into the water. The mother and 18-year-old son, Austin Welch, jumped in to save that girl. Austin, we're told, was ripped away by a current. The mother and daughter were able to get to safety. Austin's still missing right now. We have a crew on the way to the scene, and we will bring you updates as soon as we get that information in. Hermine may be a distant memory for some, but not for the residents over in Pasco County. This afternoon, the county's EOC director ordered mandatory evacuations for several Pasco locations. We have team coverage tonight. Ian Oliver is in our forecast center, but first, let's start with News Channel 8's Chip Osowski in Pasco.
Well, good evening to you, Rod. Early this afternoon, officials in Pasco County urged people in certain areas to leave. Later in the afternoon, the county issued a mandatory evacuation order. The Blue Heron Mobile Home Park is one of the areas affected by high water, where first responders helped residents to safety, one without even the shirt on his back. Tracy Vest was told he should leave and does have a plan in place.
I'm going to a hotel, Magnuson Hotel off 19, where I stayed at when I first got here, and wait to see what they do tomorrow and the next day.
What exactly did they tell you?
They was calling someone, and they're going to shut off the main grid. Shut off all of our power. So they said we don't have to leave, but we're going to be without power. Why are you going to stay without power?
Residents of the Worthington apartments were also told they had to go. The complex backs up to the Enclote River. The main drag through here, Highwater Drive. Today, that is very appropriate.
It's very trying. I mean, I've been looking into purchasing a home rather than renting, and I just paid rent yesterday, in fact, I believe is what it was, and it just feels... It's frustrating.
At the Suncoast Gateway Mobile Home Park on Ridge Road, a self-evacuation order is in place. The park is currently underwater, park management using large pumps to try and dry it out, but that will obviously take time. Residents like Virginia Little being taken out by boat. She and her husband just moved here a few months ago from up north to get away from the snow. Now this.
How fast did the water come up?
Really fast.
What were you thinking?
What did I get myself into by moving to Florida?
As you just heard, a mandatory evacuation order does not mean residents absolutely have to leave, but if this water continues to rise and those who elected to stay get in trouble, first responders may not be able to come out here and help them. In Pasco County, I'm Chip Osowski, News Channel 8.
All right, let's get a check on our forecast now with Storm Teammate meteorologist Ian Oliver in the forecast center. Ian.
Yeah, fortunately, another round of heavy rainfall in places like Pasco, Pinellas County this morning that have seen some staggering rainfall tallies over the last few days. Thankfully, though, that heavy rain wrapped up during the first part of the day. This is what it looks like right now in New Port Richey with some sunshine around, the temperature at 82 degrees. You notice the rainfall bucket, though, at Hyundai of New Port Richey, close to 1.25 inches and some radar rainfall estimates over the last 24 hours put down about a swath of 2 to 3 inch tallies through Pasco County down into portions of Pinellas County as too. St. Pete saw some heavy rainfall that led to some street flooding around this morning. Good thing is this afternoon, afternoon. We've got the bulk of the activity in inland locations, and our long-term forecast is actually trending drier. We'll talk about the rest of the holiday weekend and get you an update on Hermine coming up in a few minutes, Rod.
All right, Ian, thank you. People in Pasco County spending this holiday weekend trying their best to get back to normal. We sent a crew out earlier this morning to see how the cleanup was coming along, and residents there hoping for lots of sunshine as their communities try to dry out. We spoke with a man who says that Hermine was his very first hurricane.
You couldn't see the street, and I'm not kidding you, there was so much water. A garbage truck came down the road, and it created a wake, and it slapped up against the side of my house.
Right now, emergency management crews are still surveying all of the damage there. They do not have an estimate as to how bad that damage really is. More than 75,000 people are without power right now, and Governor Rick Scott is promising that Duke Energy will have the power restored in Pinellas and Pasco counties by midnight tonight. The company is also vowing to have their lights on for customers in Citrus County by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And there are lots of people without power in Tallahassee right now. Assessments in the Panhandle begin this week, and our Capitol Bureau reporter Mike Vasalinda tells us that the focus this weekend is now on opening up all of the roads. There are a lot of trees down there too, and getting that power back on.
More than 100,000 Floridians began the day without power, the bulk of them, more than 78,000, in the state capital.
So you're turning on the light switches and that's when nothing comes on, but we're okay. You know, we have water.
Governor Rick Scott found estimates of a week to get the lights back on unacceptable.
I expect every city and county official to aggressively fix that problem. We have got to get people their power back.
Scott has called on Florida Power and Light and Gulf Power to help the city of Tallahassee repair downed lines. Gray skies and temperatures in the upper 70s kept residents from boiling.
You go to bed shortly after the sun goes down, kind of like a farmer.
Many roads are still blocked, and a small percentage of intersections remain without traffic control. The DOT is working on providing generators for those stoplights still out. The governor says that in addition to getting the power back up and running, everyone must join the fight against Zika.
Any amount of standing water can serve as a breeding ground for mosquitoes. This is something, just think about it, we all have to be part of this. This is really to protect all the pregnant women and their developing babies.
Damage assessment is ongoing. Emergency managers expect the process to ramp up next week. The Emergency Operations Center remains fully staffed, and for many this weekend, Labor Day will live up to its name. In Tallahassee, Mike Vasalinda, News Channel 8.
And Mike just emailed us telling us that the folks with TECO told the governor that all the power will be restored by midnight tonight. All right, a Pasco County man is trying to recover from serious burns after this, a very massive fire. It destroyed his home. Take a look at what we're talking about. A neighbor shot this video, and you can see flames shooting out of the garage at this home. This is on Westport Drive in Port Richey. One person was taken to the burn unit with second-degree burns, and the neighbor that sent us this video describes for us what he saw.
I just ran down the road for a few minutes, and I came back, and I wasn't gone 5 minutes, and I saw the whole sky lit up, and I went inside the house real quick, told my son the neighbor's house was on fire.
No word yet on the victim's condition or what caused that fire. College football season is finally here. Let the cheers begin, right? The University of South Florida Bulls kick off their season in about 50 minutes, 7 o'clock. That'll be on our sister station, Great 38. Expectations are very high as they've ever been, in fact. And Paul Ryan is in studio now. Paul, what do we expect out of the Bulls this year?
Hey, Rod, save me a spot on that Bulls bandwagon. This time last year, nobody expected South Florida to make noise in the American Athletic Conference, especially once they started the year 1-3. But the Bulls won 7 of their next 8, finishing second in the East and earning a berth in the Miami Beach Bowl. Now, this year's squad features 13 returners, including major weapons on offense: Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack, and Rodney Adams. Bradenton's Willie Taggart, now in his 4th season as head coach, is beginning to build a lasting legacy at USF.
We want to make it a special season. That's all we talked about is making it a special season, making it where we better than what we were last year. From a confidence standpoint, I know our guys are confident that they can go out and win ball games. I think we've created a culture here now that's kind of what we do. We go out and expect to win now, not hope that we win.
USF won't be sneaking up on anyone this year, including the Towson Tigers. The Bulls are 31-point favorites tonight. I'll have more from Coach Taggart ahead in sports and highlights tonight at 11. Rod?
Sounds good, sir. Thank you very much. And still ahead tonight, a massive earthquake shakes Oklahoma. After the break, we're going to take a very good look at the damage left behind. Also tonight, another hurricane update to tell you about. This one actually in the Pacific, though. How much forecasters expect Hurricane Lester to weaken as it now moves over Hawaii. A 5.6 magnitude earthquake rocked north central Oklahoma this morning. A security camera at one of the high schools there caught the shaking video for us. Now take a look at this. And this picture shows a home in Stillwater, Oklahoma, cracked right in the middle. One person suffered minor injuries. However, this quake did cause damage to several buildings. Officials say the epicenter of that quake hit about 9 miles northwest of Pawnee. That's a town of about 2,200 people. The earthquake was felt across 7 states here in the U.S. heartland, and volunteers helped shop owners clean up food aisles that officials call an unprecedented quake.
It was the biggest one I've ever felt. It's quite an eye-opener when you're sound asleep and you get that kind of rumble, that kind of shake.
That is a scary thought. Officials say the earthquake ties the record for the strongest quake in recorded Oklahoma history. And now to coverage in your vote in the race for the White House tonight. Donald Trump told members of an African-American church in Detroit that he wants to make their city the economic envy of the world. Trump told the congregation that the African-American faith community has been one of God's greatest gifts to America. Trump says the nation needs a civil rights agenda for our time, one that he says ensures better education and jobs. Meanwhile, on the eve of the G20 summit in China, the U.S. and China formally ratified the Paris Agreement to cut climate warming emissions. President Obama and China's president later took a stroll outside the host city for the summit meeting. Now, this visit is Mr. Obama's last scheduled trip to Asia before leaving office. A hurricane watch has been discontinued for all of the Hawaiian islands. However, Hurricane Lester still brought very heavy rain and some rough waves to that area. Category 2 hurricane is currently moving northwest of Hawaii. Now, forecasters do expect Lester to weaken soon, eventually becoming a tropical storm by late Sunday. We are monitoring the weather right here at home, here in the Bay Area. Coming up in just a few minutes, Ian Oliver will have a look at your Labor Day forecast. And now an 8 on your side consumer alert to tell you about tonight. The Food and Drug Administration is banning more than a dozen chemicals in antibacterial soap, saying that there's actually no evidence they actually stop the spread of germs. The FDA is most concerned about liquid soaps that contain triclosan and triclocarbon. Well, so research suggests that they actually spur drug-resistant bacteria, interfering with estrogen and testosterone levels.
Taking a live look out at St. Pete Beach this evening, where thankfully things have settled down considerably. Folks walking along the beach here enjoying some sunshine, comfortable temperature of 84 degrees. But you notice that rainfall tally, about 1.3 inches recorded at the Lowe's Don Cesar earlier today. Spots in Pasco, Pinellas County that have seen some of the worst of the weather over the last few days. Saw more of that heavy rainfall this morning. Rob Chalmers sent this into our WFLA Facebook page. Hard to tell that this is even a community here. These are streets showing all that flooding there. And then Terry sent this in from St. Pete, where her neighborhood was also flooded out with a whole lot of water there. Excessive rainfall tallies, in excess of 10 inches in these locations, likely over the last 4 days or so. But thankfully, the heavy rain in coastal spots did wrap up this morning. All the activity this evening as well inland through portions of Hardy, DeSoto County, Highlands County, seeing a few thunderstorms at this point. Spots like Lake Placid, also down towards the Archbold Biological Station. You notice those drifting on off to the north and east, though. Those should wrap up over the next few hours. Maybe an isolated shower or a storm. Northern spots closer to an old boundary left by Hermine. Into the overnight hours tonight, only a stray shower possible, and then we'll see some more activity with an onshore flow pushing inland spots. About a 40% rain chance for some scattered storms tomorrow afternoon. Forecast for your Sunday, a high temperature close to 90 degrees with storms pushing inland with time the second part of the day. Labor Day forecast with our wind direction shifting on off to the north. Still see some isolated showers by lunchtime, some scattered storms, both coastal and inland locations during the afternoon with a high of around 90 degrees. Great day today of college football already, but if you're waiting to see the Noles take on the Rebels, a Monday in the Citrus Bowl, that would be 80 degrees with about a 40% rain chance. Something to watch out if you are heading over to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando later on Labor Day. Tropical Storm Hermine is now post-Tropical Storm Hermine. It's lost its tropical characteristics, but not its tropical winds. Still sustained at 70 miles per hour, slowly meandering up the mid-Atlantic coast up towards southern New England. That shading there is all tropical storm warnings that are in effect right on through the early part of next week, really slowing down to a crawl. That's Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Only expecting this storm to be a few hundred miles off the coast of Cape Cod, bringing some heavy rain to parts of the coast, some coastal flooding possible, some beach erosion with some big-time winds up around 75 miles per hour. Hurricane force again tomorrow afternoon. Something else we're watching, this is Invest 92L, still about 400 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. National Hurricane Center gives it a 30% chance of developing over the next few days, something we'll be watching. Moisture hanging around tomorrow, even into Labor Day, but some drier air arrives by the middle of next week, and with that, our rain chances really trending downward all the way to 20% by Thursday afternoon. Temperatures right now in the mid-80s with lesser rain chances next few days, climbing back up to around average 90 degrees. Partly cloudy, just a stray shower possible, especially north tonight. Low temperatures around 77 degrees tomorrow. Scattered storms moving inland with that onshore flow. A high temperature of 89 degrees, back closer to average. Then you notice those 90s back on the 8-day forecast. With all the rain around the last few days, we've seen our temperatures way below average, but thankfully, that stretch of dry weather will be very welcome to the latter portion of next week.
It's going to be nice to just
take the heat.
Not have rain.
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Coming up, the first big upset of college football season is here. Find out which top 5 teams started the year with a loss. Plus, the Buccaneers have now cut their roster down to 53 players. Paul is back in just a moment with details. That's ahead in sports.
Plus, here's what you'll...
All right, a final look at our forecast for the night.
We get some showers and storms, inland spots this evening. Those wrap up. Only a stray shower chance through the overnight hours tonight. And thankfully, you notice our rain chances heading in the right direction, especially through the middle part of next week when some drier, more stable air gets here. Our rain chances actually well below average for a stretch of days there, the middle and latter portion of next week. For the next couple days, though, right around average afternoon rain chances, 40%.
So many people waterlogged, just need to dry out. All right, Ian, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us tonight. NBC Nightly News is next, and we'll see you back here tonight at 11 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody.